What's going on, guys? This video is a video I wanted to show Phil like a while ago and kept forgetting. Tom MacDonald, white boy. MacDonald.
M-A-C, Mac.
It's called White Boy. I actually reacted to this on someone else's channel, so I know it. So I won't really be that invested in it.
Oh no.
This is for Phil to see and to gauge his opinion. So.
And here we go.
I cannot feel guilty for that I didn't do, but I can understand the reasons why you think that I should. Yeah, I'm white, but I never put your neck in no noose, and I never burnt a cross or keep my face with a hood. You can't just label me racist, cause I'm related to people who did some terrible way back before I was alive. My parents brought me up to treat everyone as an equal. I refuse to feel ashamed cause of my pretty blue eyes. And Nazi, white supremacist, anyone who labels me as that because of my family genetics. The hatred for Caucasians is so pathetic. Go be proud that you're black. Don't hate me for some credit. I'm not the white devil, neo-Nazi, cop trying to pull the trigger. You can call me what you want, but I'd still never say the white race as a whole ain't the enemy. This race is white people, but we're far from that collectively. Don't say that, white boy. Oh, you're so bad, white boy. You wish you were black, white boy. Be a white boy. Sipping on some cognac sitting next to me. I don't assume that every black's favorite drink is Hennessy. I don't dislike Anisha because her first name is Stephanie. Not only is that wrong, it's a waste of energy. I'm for real epic. 45 or 17, we all bleed the same. Martin Luther King or Kennedy. They're angry, I'm reciting the facts. White rats, it's all the culture facts. So it's fire, but we lick the flame, we siphon the gas. So this corny little honky man, the whitey is whack. Let history perpetuate the hatred within. And then he paid me with the brush he painted a slave owners with. Yeah. Don't say that, white boy. Oh, you're so bad, white boy. You wish you were black, white boy. Be a white boy. An uncle and a grandma that I picture when you're openly hating. And God willing, one day I'll have a kid of my own. I refuse to let you kindly hate my wife and my baby, so go ahead and hate the races. I pray for their extinction. If you want to hate the white people, just make the distinction between the ones who want the best for everyone regardless and the ones who build the system just to smother the reflection. Stop before you say it. I know what you've been thinking. How's a straight white male in 2018? You're making me the villain by demonizing my race. The things I didn't do and decisions I didn't make. No one that I call a friend has ever owned a slave. And neither did our dads or our dads' dads. Mistakes acknowledging atrocities were wrongly committed. It's all that I can offer when I'm wrongly convicted. I would never hate a man for what God gave him in pigments, and I would never plot against him just because he is different. I would never judge a human for the cards he was given or call him lesser than myself because of the race that he's mixed with. White people that you hate aren't your neighbors or lawyers. They're the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bushes, and Royals. They're the people who monopolize the water and oil and injected your communities with drugs that they spoil. Got no patience for Nazis, I think they're better off dead. But fighting hatred with hatred making the hate more intense. I don't want nothing to do with either side of the fence. So don't blindly attack me for wearing braids on my head. Hate the people who believe you put yourselves in together. Hate the ones who teach their children you ain't they say said so. Hate the ones who think you're all the same and judge you profusely. Because the way that you're portrayed on our news and in movies, being white and being racist aren't the same, man, I promise. No, it's hard to tell the difference if I'm just being honest. I deserve the chance to show you I'm not part of the problem, and you owe it to yourselves. We got so much in common. Don't say that, white boy. Oh, you're so bad, white boy. You wish you were black, white boy. Be a white boy. So bad, white boy, you wish you were black, white boy.
game.
What you think, Phil?
Don't say that.
I almost did it,
What?
but I laughed.
Did what?
I almost did it, but I laughed first. I messed it up.
Really? You only get one.
I messed that one.
Nah, you only get one.
Anyways,
That's a very interesting perspective. It finally, like, I'm pretty sure other people feel like that, but just haven't either said it because they didn't want it to sound a certain way, or just couldn't put it into words or something. I don't know, but like, that doesn't actually mean that the other side isn't still going on, though.
I kind of said everything I had to say in my last video, even though it got mixed and screwed because some people are but
Bad?
so
They're bad.
it got mixed and screwed with that because of the way people think. But one thing I will definitely say here is there's two traits that like black and white people should really like mimic from one another, but it's also like our double-edged sword. The trait we have is our double-edged sword. It's very difficult to get black people together on something. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Very, very difficult to get black people together on stuff. And
Well, there's a reason for that.
true that. Definitely. But I also feel like white people want to be involved in something that they don't need to be involved in.
Actually, I was just about to say that stems from being over. Actually, I was going to go in a different direction, but it's hard to get us together. It's harder for us to unite, either period, on a large scale or on a continual scale or basis. They're too united to the point where, like, even if somebody's in the wrong, they're like, well, you know, he killed 27 people, but, you know, before that he was a good guy, you know.
Exactly.
Or, you know, the two involved thing. Like, there's the unity is so strong.
Like, we will be like, you know, F them niggas, you know, F them F boys, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
But it'll be over something little.
But I mean, like, but we'll separate ourselves. Like, we'll
Yeah.
be like I'm not a street nigga. You know what I'm saying? So when we see street niggas do street nigga stuff, we be like, I hope that nigga do get locked up.
Or it'll be, I ain't trying to be a part of that because if the cops come, we all the same.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
let me get away from
So
that.
we learn to separate ourselves based off situations and certain things like that. To where white people have an issue where they just gotta be together. Like, they can watch a cop like hop out of his car and like gut punch a baby, but they could be like, well, what happened in the video before?
It's like, well, that baby probably gave him some lip.
That baby probably said something. That baby wasn't
He looked at him right.
that baby wasn't following his command.
That baby was resistant.
That baby was resisting.
He told him
Like,
to stop crying. He wouldn't comply.
What happened to the video before? And like, to me, it's simple.
It's like,
To
what if
me,
the baby threw a rock at the cop?
it's very simple.
That's a
We
soft
really
answer.
need to take traits from one another. Black people need to be more together, because if we're more together, we could actually fix the stupid savage niggas in the streets.
That, and it's harder to separate. It's as simple as it sounds. When we're more together, it's harder to divide.
Right. And you white people need to be like, you know what? I'm not racist. I'm cool with everybody. This dumb these F boys over here who want to ride, you know, Nazi flags and do all this other type of stuff.
That's
like,
them.
we need to disown them niggas. Like,
Yeah,
we don't,
like, oh, but
we don't
they're
need
family,
to question
so
what they're doing. We don't need to have no
Let's
sympathy.
put the hood on together.
Like he said in that song, and there don't need to be no sympathy. You need to just learn to cut yourself off from the F boys of the F boys who look like you, and things would actually be a lot better, because then we'll be like, hey, what about them F boys over there? You be like, why don't y'all beat their ass? And we
Be like,
Bet.
what about them?
in fact, we're gonna help you beat their ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
That's what it said.
bet. And
Yeah, they
then,
might be my family members. but
and
I
then
don't-
same thing on our side. Like,
don't mess with
what
them.
about them F boys over there? Y'all can mess them up. Bet. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's on both sides.
Yeah.
Is there. So that's what kind of needs to happen. Now, I want to get into ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. See, I didn't prep you for this.
Uh-oh.
All right, Phil. Scenario. Say you're having a conversation, right? And you're having this you don't know this person, and you're talking to this person, and you're learning about this person, right? And then you're telling this person some of your life story. This person tells you, like, yeah, I escaped slavery, right? Now, you hear that in 2018. What is going to be your first thought?
What do you mean by slavery?
That's going to be your first thought, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean by slavery, right? Because you want the context of what the slavery is.
Yeah.
So if they say, I escaped slavery, like I had to leave a slave situation in the United States in 2018, would you find that believable?
Yeah.
So for all you bats out there, this is what happened. I brought up my grandfather being a runaway slave.
Mm-hmm.
He was born in I think 1890s, somewhere along the lines.
Mm-hmm.
He died like in 93, but he lived to be like, he died in 93, but he lived to be like 92 or 93 when he died. So almost 100 years. Right? I say he was a runaway slave. Right? It is completely impossible for the people on that video that I said that on to comprehend him being a runaway slave. They believe wholeheartedly that because the government said, the federal government said, slavery ends in 1865, 1866,
Are you
that
freaking
slavery
serious? Just
ended.
no longer existed?
They actually believe that. They are arguing, they were attacking that concept. Literally attacking that concept.
So let me get this straight. There are national laws, right? At least one of those national laws, every single state, at least every single state does not comply with at least one national law. Meaning that in that sense, that state's illegal.
Now, I went into an entire story of how I was in Mississippi in the early 90s when the state finally ratified that amendment to completely outlaw slavery in the state. It took them that long. How do I know this? It was said on the radio while me and my dad sat in the car. The news guy was making fun of the fact that it took Mississippi that long. Now, that gave my dad ammunition to make fun of our in-laws for the rest of the trip. So it was a continuous joke. I remember it up here.
Well, the thing about that is, if it took that one state, which means that others probably, especially in the South, probably eventually conformed, maybe shortly before, maybe shortly after. If it took till the 90s, 100-some years later, to finally comply and pass a law, that still means that even when that law was passed, that the people that didn't agree with it might have still done it. Same thing with the speed limit.
Now,
There's every single person
I want you to watch
at
this,
all times
Phil.
follow the speed limit. Interstate or inner city.
We lived on, I don't know what you call it, but something like a plantation to me. It belonged to several different white people. They all were family, I guess. And you couldn't leave. And if you did leave, they either come get you or have somebody kill you or whatever. That's what happened.
This video's 2017.
What they do to your mother? They just had my mother, the white men. They just do what they want to do with them. And I just wasn't big enough to do nothing. If I would have been, I don't know, probably would have been.
And this was in the 1950s or 40s?
That was on through the 40s and the 50s, all through the 50s, second part of the 60s.
So what would the repercussions be if you tried to leave or if you tried to refuse what they wanted?
Back in them days, it was kind of like you had to do what the white man said or get killed. My dad's uncle, they made him dig a grave and killed him.
Dang.
They killed him and buried him in his own grave. Jerry Dawson, they killed him. He lived around the same place.
I'm working a little work for you.
He
You gonna
left,
kill me and you gonna
he
be.
wasn't coming back. They wouldn't got him. Brought him back. Could have run out there from his house. Killed him. Hung him up in a tree.
They hung him.
They killed him first. Castorized him and hung him up right from his house where his children, everybody could see him.
Dang.
Were you aware that this is 1940s, 1950s, that this is insane. Arthur, this breaks my heart to hear this story. Growing up, were you fully aware, this is in the 40s and 50s, the civil rights movement is just about to begin. Were you aware of what was going on in the rest of the country at that time for black people pursuing freedom?
No.
It couldn't have been. You
You weren't aware at all that there was any pursuits for freedom in the 40s and 50s for us?
No, not really.
So, for all you out there, slavery took on a new name called sharecropping.
Huh.
That was the new name of slavery. See, because when you stop something that's instrumental to the industry of a place, it never just stops.
Immediately.
It never stops. So for you F-boys who can't, and F-girls who can't get it around your mind that I have somebody in my family that I saw alive that had to escape those conditions to live. You're an F-boy. And you're an F-girl. You're a sheep. You're a herd of sheeps. You think because the government said this stops, that the whole country was like, oh yeah, cool. All our operating systems, the way that we make our money, all that
Screeching halt.
just gonna end.
Stop on the dime.
That's what you think?
What works like that? Name one thing that works like that.
Yeah.
Even if you go on 25, you don't just stop.
I'm
In
so
a car.
glad YouTube exists so I can see that the ignorance of people and of this country is still at a blazing high.
60.
Because it makes sense of why they can continue to just run over us. Because these idiots believe when they make a law everyone just follows it.
But the evidence is clear.
Clearly, throughout history,
Everybody speeds
on multiple
Prohibition,
occasions.
huh? That was when liquor was produced and sold the most during Prohibition.
During Prohibition,
Everything that's illegal right now is running rampant. Whether it's prescription drugs or on the street or freaking somebody mixing in their freaking trailer.
we don't even want to talk about that because
Like,
we've already talked about the drug laws and how they just created a whole new drug epidemic on
It's-
their own.
how?
I'm going to be completely real with you. Now, for you all here who are not sheep, that's why I'm kind of happy that you're on my channel, because a lot of y'all kind of think and so forth and so on. This was a common occurrence in the South. This was very, very common. They just took slavery, changed the name, and turned it over to sharecropping. People still lived on plantations. People still couldn't leave because there was no active consequences for the people who were still continuing those practices. So people are going to continue their practices.
That. Oh my god, dude.
I knew this. I've been knew this. So when I hear people talk about freedom and talk about this and talk about that, I'm like, these niggas just don't know slavery was still going while Martin Luther King was marching. There was people still getting killed and clipped. Women still getting raped on the daily.
So even in high school, when we became more mobile, if we were heading anywhere southeast, because we're already south, if we were going anywhere southeast, especially passing through Mississippi, Louisiana, there were places that we were actually instructed to make sure you actively avoid, especially at night.
Mm-hmm.
There are some small towns that used to, because Robert's people is from Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually says to all the black people, colors, niggas, whatever, don't let the sun go down on your black ass.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning if you're caught there at night, you this is the last time you're gonna get caught anywhere. That movie Freedom Riders, real.
See, I was in Louisiana when I heard and saw the damage of "What are you doing in our town, boy?" Gunshots at vehicles, boy. Keep believing this junk that you want to. Me personally, the only issue I had with WHITEBOY was yes, there are people in power who are causing issues, so forth and so on, but that's still the teaching and the negativity does still trickle down to some of the people that we have to deal with on an everyday basis.
You know what's funny? Even the ones that are more accepted, it's still strange to them, but they can just see through the BS.
Mm-hmm.
Grandparents and parents. That's what Mel was talking about, one of his best friends. It was like, they cool as hell. But he would tell him what goes on behind closed doors. Like, they still teach this mess. Firmly believe it. Every single word, and like nothing, like they don't want nothing to change. They're trying to get it back to the way it was, and make it seem like, or really they demonize anybody who's ethnic, with the black man being the worst.
We're supposed to be the stigma. We're the so-called stigma, is what they believe. But I don't want to get into all that, because that's just gonna make this 50, 60 minutes long. Anyways, that's the only issue I have with WHITEBOY. Rather than that, I've heard the perspective. I get the perspective. I understand the perspective. I believe the race war is fake as hell. I believe the real war is between the rich and poor. I say that over and over again because that's where I know the real problem lies. Because if everyone woke up blue in this entire world, like tomorrow, blue. And our memories were altered to where we only knew that we were blue forever. You still got rich and poor. So you still got suffering.
Well, that and this is a way. This is the hat trick. This is the look at my left hand, my right hand's doing this. This is the diversion.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you really think about it, same what was it, a couple years ago when all the killing started, like meanwhile back at the ranch they passing all of these like laws and visions and stuff that's like putting us, you know, we getting the short end of the stick this whole time. Ain't nobody voting against this because we rallying downtown. Ain't nobody, you know, going to the ballots because we're, you know, over here at the site of, you know, the last innocent black kid that got murdered. Or we're at the courthouse, you know, because another cop got off with a slap on the wrist. Don't do that. Stop killing black kids. Keep doing it.
Yeah.
Like Deadpool, you know, don't do that. You're doing a great job. Like, kill 3 more before the week is over and then be captain. Yeah. It's like, yeah, that promotion that takes 10 years, you can do it in 3 if you do this. Who knows? But it happened. And it has happened. But it wasn't until later that, oh, well, they passed this. When? Oh, when they was killing all the black people. That summer. That year. Oh, when they were talking about all the scandals that happened 30 years ago with somebody. When they were talking about somebody getting mad at somebody for kneeling during the national anthem, which actually degrades black people. All this stuff.
We've already had that conversation.
All this stuff is going on in the background. Well, the thing is, this is literally like this is the bazaar. You know, black people getting killed. I was in the back. You know, passing all these laws. I was in the back.
I was in the back.
Like, what was that? Puss in Boots, when he was like, I was everywhere. Then it like re-showed all those scenes, and then like he was like randomly peeking, like, where's Waldo style? Like, nigga, he was not there.
That man, look, that's whatever, man. Look,
So
the sheep
all
are
that.
here. The sheep are here. The people that's waking up is here. Everything's happening. I just wanted to run that by because some people find it impossible for someone to say that they escaped slavery in 2018, or they were a slave for 10 years, or they were a slave for 20 years. You have no idea how bad human trafficking is in this country.
I was just that's the next level.
Yeah, you have no
Because
idea.
Even though we were here and enslaved, we were still brought here. We just been here so long that we're literally like the backbone of the freaking nation because it was built off of our backs, literally. But there are people that are brought over here with promise, you know, of a new life.
Yeah,
they're literally their family puts together their entire savings to send one over here to work. Halfway over here, the price doubles. You got to work it off. Interest bills a ridiculous amount. It's literally like a house loan.
that's what I'm saying. Y'all don't. You don't.
Sex
get it.
slave.
I remember the back in the days when 60
Indentured
Minutes
servants.
was dropping
Yeah.
stories on stuff like this, and I watched one recently 2 years ago where a chick knew no better, spoke no English, was in the same clothes every single day, and worked for a prominent rich white dude in this country, and was a slave. Couldn't leave, wouldn't take her nowhere, didn't teach her anything. You can get a child and convince them to be a dog.
And the thing about it was, their methods were like meant to like break you down psychologically.
It's like
You were all like
This.
15 of you was in one room,
This right
maybe one bed. If it was a twin, you either took turns or you just piled up. There were less than half the pair of shoes of the number of people, so everybody couldn't be at the same time. And if somebody didn't come back from whatever their job was, the rest of them couldn't leave. Like, they did a whole expose on this in Houston when I was there, when I was living there, because of the fact that it was huge there.
It's very huge there.
Huge.
Very,
and it
very
got
huge.
so bad to where that they have like task force like designed to try to bust those like human trafficking rings up to where they started migrating over to Arizona, Nevada, New
That's all they
Mexico,
do.
and just funneling into
When
there.
when they go into Texas and get into those massage parlors,
Yeah.
all them girls are brought there young.
Oh yeah.
All they know is rub body, sucky, blah blah blah.
Long time.
Love you, like that's all they know. And then when someone coming in, like you can't do that. Like they're at a loss. Anyway, look, sorry, 30 minutes. Anyways, Tom MacDonald, white boy, like the perspective. Just it's a song, so he can't go that deep into it. But it's all good. We know, all right. But I wanted to do that because of you sheep idiots. That's probably gonna come on this video.
Yeah.
Anyways,
You monkey bastards.
I'm Nixon. Phil.
Peace.
We out.